And now it's my pleasure to introduce our panelists for today's broadcast. First, I'd like to introduce David Reichart, Director of Product Management at Radius. Dave has over 15 years of experience in global ventures, creating and launching consumer and business web applications. Dave leads the development of the Radius Global Payroll and HR Solutions, which supports payroll processing worldwide. We're also joined today by Neil Rainwright, CEO and co-founder of Nexonia, a leader in web and mobile business financial and time management solutions. Neil has over 30 years of technical engineering expertise and has been an entrepreneur in building and managing businesses for over 25 years. Neil has a strong business leadership background and broad technical skills, cultured through firms he has founded and through senior management positions held at Nortel Networks, Lotus Development, and IBM. He is a professional engineer and holds a BSc in electrical engineering from Queen's University at Kingston, Ontario. Over to you, Dave.
Hi, welcome everyone. Let's just touch on the agenda briefly for this session today. We're going to talk and focus a little bit on the challenges of global payroll and some of the strategies and considerations involved. And then Neil and I are going to look at a solution that's exemplary for how some of the things that we've covered in the challenges and considerations can be addressed. So those are our general topics. And of course, during the session today, we will be taking some polls from the audience so that you can provide feedback to the panelists. Next slide. So what are some of the perceptions that we encounter with global payroll? And this is a rather provocative statement. It's mostly just to give you a sense that there are some constituents within our organizations that look at the issue being rather simplistic. It's not rocket science, and really all we really need is a provider, a single engine, and we're going to get all the multilingual call center support we provide that we need in order to do global payroll. But the fact of the matter is, when you talk with your local teams and your stakeholders distributed around the world, there can be quite different perceptions. Really the questions are, can we handle this regionally? And also those stakeholders may say, look, our processes are very complicated. There's legal compliance and tax regulations. People in HQ don't understand some of the subtlety of this. We've been dealing with a lot of these things on our own, and HQ may not even be aware of some of the complexity that we're addressing, and we're going to talk about that in a few examples. And what exactly is the local team chartered to do and be held accountable for? And have those conversations between HQ and the local teams even occurred yet? So let's move on here. So the question is, what do you think? What is your world like? What are the perceptions and assumptions of headquarters with their global payroll strategy? And what is the reality that's occurring with the local teams and stakeholders as you expand globally?
Thank you, Dave. And now we have time for our first polling question of today's webinar. We'll go ahead and launch the polling interface. What is the biggest challenge your organization faces delivering global payroll? Dave, it looks as though 44% of our attendees have responded with lack of global resources as being their biggest challenge, with 36% responding technology and systems, 8% responding with cultural differences, also at 8% time zone challenges, and a trailing 3% lack of global leadership.
Interesting feedback, Ed, and actually something that we commonly hear with clients and prospects today in our discussions. The challenges are different for each organization, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. So when you look at the challenges of globalization, we can't say there's a one-size-fits-all, but there certainly are themes that occur. There's cultural differences, and some of those things can even be exacerbated on whether or not your company grew through acquisition, grew kind of organically and expanded in specific regions, or did a combination of both. That can sometimes add to the cultural differences that occur across the organization. You also have time zone challenges and coordinating those time zones to keep folks aligned in different regions. You can have a lack of resources, and those resources, either in terms of global leadership or internal global resources, can become very complicated, because if the responsibilities of those regional resources is to make sure that compliance in addition to technology and systems are addressed, there can be training, there can be some bootstrapping that needs to occur, and that can all take time. And then others are much more payroll specific. If the objectives are around better compliance and data privacy, or dealing with multi-currencies and setting exchange rates, including even payment systems and how payment processing is going to be dealt in these various regions, all those factor in to really doing some sort of assessment for what are the challenges your organization faces.